Hello, welcome to Unprocessing Your Life. This is live on Tuesdays, and I'm Traci Mahan. And today we're going over some frequently asked questions. I had posted this in our group, and my intention is to really help direct the content of what I speak of, how I can speak. I really like clear vision for this group. And so, what I'm asking is, what questions do you have that I can answer for you? And I have four pillars that I work around inside of the Unprocessing Your Life group. So, today, if you have a question, post it and I will answer that again on another live. And I have a pretty frequently asked question here today, anyway. It's one that I get asked a lot and was just asked recently. So the question is, what do I do when everything feels overwhelming? And that's such a great question. So pull up your chair, pull up your water, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether it's a replay, I'd love to know replay. Go back into the group if you could and hit hashtag replay in the comments or wherever you're watching this. And if you're watching it on YouTube, in the YouTube station, could you hit subscribe? Because I'm about to add some really good content that is going to support you over the summer. So, hey, right now, one of the most important questions that I commonly receive is, what do I do when things feel overwhelming? And I want to give you two answers today, because when I received this question recently, I answered one way. And when I sat with it and realized there's something else I would love to say as well, and I'm going to share now. So the answer to the first part is, what I said to her was, most likely, who are you calling when you do feel overwhelmed? Because a lot of times what's going on is, first, our nervous system is just active. And that's when I talk about activating your body. We feel a different sensation in our body. I'm going to ask you first, before I answer for myself, where do you feel that when you feel overwhelmed or anxious? Quite often I feel it in my gut. And I do relate a lot of things to human design, because I know the science behind this that helps you understand where you're activated and where you're open to receiving emotions and the way of life a little differently, or where you're fixed in it. And that's one of the things that I share in my one-on-one coaching only. And I also have a great, beautiful coach that, if you would like to go deeper into human design, she's a beautiful resource. And so if you're overwhelmed, your first instinct might be to reach out, because your inner world, your feeling world, it might be going haywire, it might be dull, it might be feeling something. And I feel that in my belly. That's feeling it in my solar plexus. I do feel it actually. Well, what feels like our solar plexus in our human body is actually something that some yogic, they say that's your solar plexus, that's your energy center, and we have many of them. There's many that also describe the body as having an emotional feeling right around your belly, and that is, in human design, they break it out a little different, where in yogic, they talk about having 7 energy centers. And I'm not going to go into this, I'm just mentioning it. I'll get back to the topic. We have 7 centers in the yogic energy centers. And what that means is it's just a focus and a concentration in our body to make meaning of it. And so we also then in human design have 9 centers. Soon in 2027 to have another added. Long conversations, if you like that, let me know. We can talk more about that in a future session. But what happens is, your body might be overwhelmed, it might be anxious, might be feeling awkward, a sensation that you're not used to, and or your programming is such that you're used to reaching out and getting out of that uncomfortable feeling instead of soothing it, neutralizing it, alchemizing it. So if you do that, do you call someone? So my answer was, instinctively, what I used to do was call someone. And I would call a friend, I would call my best friend, or I would call one of my daughters, depending on the age. And you want to call somebody, maybe my mother, somebody who loves you. And I want to say this again with so much love, as I just mentioned, because those people mean well. They mean a really beautiful part of your life, but they're really something that's something they're going to tell you is to soothe you. Yeah, you already know that, and that's actually a programmed response. It's conditioning. We feel uncomfortable, we reach out to those we love to help feel soothed. That's feeling, that's a nervous system identity, that you are getting out of the uncomfortableness to soothe yourself. It's a resource, which isn't bad. The thing is it really the answer that you're looking for? Sometimes that keeps you exactly where you already are, keeps you the same. So my first answer was go to God instead. To that one would be, instead of calling a friend, I called God. And when I started to do that, I found that God is my CEO of my life, of my marriage, of my health, of our wealth, of my business. And so my first answer is go to God. Before I call anyone, I process it, and I process it out loud, which does another thing. It helps activate your throat, and it starts to get to hit home on where that lives in your body, the uncomfortableness that I mentioned, and your energy, okay? The next one is to really go to your source before you go to your circle. So that was the summation of that. Go to your source. Who is source for you? For me, it is God, whatever word you use. It's the energy that I know that I am the fractal image of the one who made me. The one who is my source is God. So go to your source before you go to your circle. The next answer, I really sat with this and I was feeling this needs to be said because it's not portraying you when you feel uncomfortable. It's actually noticing that the overwhelm is a signal that is trying to talk to you. As many times as my daughter says, she's a chiropractor, she says, your body is subluxated. Normally it's subluxated because we're not paying attention to what it's talking about, what it's saying to us, what our body is saying to us. We're disconnected from our body. We live so much in our mind, and our mind is a program. It's just delivering the old news of where we've been in the past unless we retrain our brain. So ask yourself this: is this an old thought? Is this a pattern that keeps showing up? That's your key. That's the clue to what to do with this. And because overwhelm often is in the body and it's on a repeating loop in our head. And a repeating loop, anything thought over and over, is what we call a program. We're living in a program right now, every day. We all are, until we wake up to it. That to me is the awakening. Is, oh my gosh, I've been portraying my life as real, but I've just been going along on this autopilot until we wake up. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not the truth and it's not wrong. It's just not your future. It's a habit that your brain defaulted to because it was familiar. And that's okay. Familiar is safe. Familiar is a way of feeling and functioning on autopilot quite often. And is that our goal? Hey, Pam, how nice to see you, dear.
Good morning. Sorry
We're
I'm late.
Good morning. I know. Thank you so much for reaching out. And we're talking about feelings. We're talking about the feeling of overwhelm this morning. I had put on our group that I wanted to do a question and answer.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Awesome.
Good. I'm glad you did. How
Yeah.
we can take a break and I'll pick it up because we're talking about overwhelm and where that lives in our body, and you'll
Uh-huh.
watch the replay for some of it.
Yes,
And
I will.
and I want to finish that thought and then I'll get into anything that's going on with you. Is that cool?
That's cool.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
I was just talking about the second part of an answer that I gave. Well, I gave one part of what do you do when you're overwhelmed, and that was to go to source before you go to your circle and call somebody. And what I mentioned in that is it's an activation in your body. And often when we feel activated, we don't feel comfortable and we want to reach out to feel soothed. And we go to a resource that we trust. But that's not always the answer that we're really looking for. We're really looking for where to go in the future versus a repeating or soothing cycle that's just going to keep us stuck.
Yeah.
And loved ones are well meaning, but they usually keep us stuck. They just say what we want to hear. and God will direct you. And the other part, which I love that part, go listen to that part if you could. Well, the
Mhm.
other part is this a pattern because overwhelm is often lives inside of a repeating loop inside of our head. So if we feel uncomfortable, what happens is our brain is reactive upon that feeling and it feels uncomfortable. So it goes, oh, where does uncomfortable live? And it goes onto this floor of your feelings and every thought you've had subconsciously. That's a deep floor. By the way, fun fact, we never forget a subconscious thought. We never forget. We have a whole floor, I imagine, in my brain, just like when my great grandmother used to take me to the department store when I was a little kid. And you get off the elevator and you'd see this huge department store floor filled with all kinds of goodies. Oh, that's like your mind. When you feel an uncomfortable thought, it goes, oh, we know that pattern. What thoughts are wired together are fired together. So it takes you right to that floor and it opens it up and you're like, oh, let me choose all the things that make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we get to change the program. We get to see it new. That's one of the first things I talk about. Many times I talk about the practices that I do. So we get to see it new. Once you notice, oh ho ho, that pattern is on repeat. And first of all, that's awareness. Awareness is the first step. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about what you just said?
I'd love for you to.
Yeah. You talked about when you say that, I always think about when I was young, when I lived in Illinois, I'd go to Marshall Fields and I loved to go to Marshall Fields and open up that floor, the toy floor, because I taught Christopher there. And but I was thinking, I thoroughly believe that every unconscious thought we have. But couldn't we also choose to, when we are land on that floor, there's good stuff on that floor too,
Oh, sure. And
that
that's what
unconscious thought. Wouldn't
Mhm.
we also be able to treat ourselves by choosing the good things that we see there?
It's a really good question. And the answer, short answer is yes.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm going to say there's yes does not cover it. I know.
well, yes, exactly. What's happening when we're uncomfortable, then our mind is going, what's uncomfortable? And let me focus on that.
Uh-huh.
So it's our focus pillar. I'm only
Yeah.
going to see what's uncomfortable. I won't see those good thoughts yet.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what this is leading to is
Yeah.
noticing, oh, I'm aware that I'm having an uncomfortable thought and change the track.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so that's part of the practice, though, because we are human. We are naturally in our fight or flight. We have those thoughts for a reason. We've lived in fight or flight. And when we're uncomfortable, we associate that with being in fight or flight. So
Hmm.
we will look at those negative thoughts first. Thank you for prompting
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
then with practice, that's why
Hmm.
we do the practice every morning. Even if it's 5, 10 minutes, 20
Hmm.
minutes of this will change your life because now you have greater access in that room to see which lights would you like to dim. I don't need to have those thoughts all the way up. And the one coach of mine beautifully, I said dim it because she associated every thought could be a lamp.
Huh.
Every thought could be a lamp, and we could dim that. Can you tell I'm dimming a light?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And yeah, we could dim that thought. We don't need to see that thought. Or we could go, oh, look at the bright ones. Changing your focus is the practice. So seeing it new is, yeah, that's the
Hmm.
answer.
Well, I must have absorbed a lot of this is from our discussions and stuff. And when you do look at focus is very important. And it's sort of like most of the time I can change that focus just exactly like you're saying. I can choose. I can say this is negative stuff. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to focus on that because it's in the past. The past is done. The past is gone, and you have to. And there's lots of good stuff back there too. And I just had a conversation with a friend um, a couple of days ago, and she had a very uncomfortable situation happen in her family, and it hurt her feelings, and it was a child, and it was like very hurtful for her. And she's not easy. It's not easy for her to admit that she's hurt about anything. And but she
Nobody
said,
is.
I hate feeling. She finally said, I hate feeling this way. It's been all week, and I'm still feeling like this. And I told her exactly that. If that's all you're thinking about, that's where your focus is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to try to look at that same period of time and think of all the wonderful things that happened during that same period of time. And she said, oh my gosh, thanks. I mean, but I kind of spontaneously do that.
Yeah.
But some days you're so overwhelmed, you don't want to even fix it for a while. Isn't that awful?
True.
Isn't, yeah.
That's totally true. I want to clean my lens here. Yeah, that's completely true. That's is one of the things that we do. The sun is just pouring in this
I
window.
know, but it's such a heavenly, it's a beautiful screen under. You've got like a little change on your screen. You look like very heavenly.
And that's part of the practice that you're doing. And by waking up in gratitude, you've set your vagal tone to be
Yeah.
receptive, to
Yeah.
receive more love. I'm looking at life through a lens of love that we've talked about. And when we do that, what lights you up is what you see versus the
Mm-hmm.
negative. You let the negative
Mm-hmm.
fall off your back. It doesn't matter as much, and you don't become so attached to that. Yet it
Uh-huh.
is makes sense too that you can feel hurt, especially by loved ones even.
Yes. Yeah. And that's okay. You
Yeah,
to acknowledge that hurt and that you
yeah.
feel that way.
And
Yeah.
it is. It's good to acknowledge it. I felt hurt, right? We want
Mm-hmm.
to feel it new. So see it new is using our eyes to remember what we see, we focus on. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing the negative, absolutely, that's all I'm going to see. And notice your words because speak it new is one of the other, there's three parts here: see it new, feel it new, and speak it new. So see it, use your word, use your focus. What am I focusing on? Oh, I'm focusing on the negative. Well, what else happened? Like you just said, take that one. What happened during that time that she could remember? To
Mm-hmm.
to train her brain to see that instead of the other,
Mm-hmm.
because later on what you train your brain to remember is going to be first on that floor. It's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
lamp that's lit up. So we could dim the negative feelings. They're
Mm-hmm.
not invalid. Why would we want to continue to feel that way if you have an option for something else?
And
Unless
one
you
negative
need
thing
to,
happening doesn't need to color your whole life.
yeah, unless you need to resolve, then reach out. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
coaching is for.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can resolve it with somebody else. But this is teaching you, just like you were saying. You've been listening, and I love it because you can see it new, feel it new. And how do we do that? Well, I love what you just said. We name it, we speak it new. I feel upset. I feel a little anger. I feel sad. I feel sad that, my young one would talk to me that way, whatever it is. And then on the other side of that, if I feel grief, what is on the other side of grief? We talked about that last week. Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I feel grief is very shady. Great grief has so many different flavors. And one of them could just be, I'm really sad. It's grieving me that somebody would talk to me that way, somebody I love.
Yeah.
What's on the other side is I see her new. Maybe she has some pain. Could you see that? Can you have empathy and compassion and
Mm-hmm.
see it differently? And even just remember something else. Maybe they were just being ugly. We all have off days. And could you see something else instead?
Mm-hmm.
And speak it new over her. I speak love over Sarah. Sarah's going to have an amazing day. The next time we see Sarah, we're going to love and hug on each other. And then
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
repairs that in our mind and in our body. And our body just wants to do something different. So maybe sometimes it's enough to just move your body, change
Mm-hmm.
clothes, drink some water, grab a weight, do a few reps, move
Yeah.
your body. Um, Movement does interrupt us at the cellular level. So, watch if you're trying to grab for food. Food is just information for our cells, and are you going to grab something nutritious if you're angry?
Yeah.
Just speak it new is really my favorite. It's because we're upgrading the whole situation and we're reprogramming it. So
Well,
neuro,
there's something about saying things out loud
oh
that
yes,
really affirms it and finishes it off. If you're just
yeah,
saying it in your head, if you actually say it, you've spoken it to the whole universe. And I think that that's really important.
your nervous system is listening.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So you're informing your body. Your cells are listening. Your genes, your code of life, your book of life is listening. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we upgrade. Neurons that wire together fire together. That's Joe Dispenza. And so he talks about these practices and how to change who we are at a cellular level, our biology. That's how we do it. And so
Yep.
what you practice, you reinforce, and what you reinforce becomes your default. Just like you are typically a sunny person. So you go around and you'd like to see pleasure instead of pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am. Who else would like to see that?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
It's a choice. I do see it as a choice. We all have different emotions, though, and I briefly talked about human design. I like that as a wayward, like a sign. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell when people are coming from a different direction, and there's some of us that have a symptom signs of activation in their body. Mine is
Mm-hmm.
in my belly. I'm a generator. I know when I'm a yes or a no for something. I can see when I'm a no and I'm going down. I can feel it in my body. Some people are emotionals, like some other people in my family, and I can watch them that they have
Mm-hmm.
emotional waves that they go through. And
Mm-hmm.
so they might say something first that is from an emotional wave and isn't really their truth. And so a lot of times we can get hurt from our loved ones, but they might be going through an emotional wave. And one of
Yeah.
the beautiful things about understanding our loved one through the lens of human design, too, is we can give them great grace.
Mm-hmm.
Or just at least give yourself grace when you're listening to them, and you don't need to feel like they're really defensive, like they're really aiming at you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not permission to have people walk on you, and not a permission to let them theory. It's just permission to start focusing on what you choose.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So how are you today?
I'm good. I'm pretty, yeah, I'm good. I'm not, I've just been kind of flat, flatlining because I don't really care for the weekends. And it's funny because since I've retired, the weekends were always what you look for when you work. The
Yeah.
weekends, oh wow. Now I look for Monday through Friday because Monday through Friday, I'm living in my retirement world. And that means that I can do when I want. I don't like to have a lot of things on my schedule. And I like flexibility, and I know that I can go out and do things and do errands and things during the week and at my convenience. And I know when it's good to go and not to have to drive. The weekends are crazy to drive around and stuff. So there's a lot of pluses there. But the flip side of that is that the weekends sometimes that's when I kind of, I don't know, I kind of hunker down in. I kind of stay home and I don't go anywhere. And a lot of times, unless I have something planned.
Hmm.
And if I don't get dressed, the first thing when I'm at 3 o'clock and I'm still in my pajamas, now I may have been doing things. I mean, I get a lot of things done around the house, and sometimes I watch
I'm
movies all
sorry
day
to
on
laugh. I
Netflix.
just deviated to a thought of somebody in
What?
the face group my husband posted a comment on. I'm
Oh,
in PJs at 3.
yeah.
On the flip side, enjoying work during the week, they were saying, nobody's answered me really well. Can I get a tax deduction for working at home if I'm butt naked and I'm outside walking around? Do you. Just don't affect the neighbors, maybe, but
Yeah,
hey.
that's right. Yes. Oh my God. You keep your blinds closed. But
Yeah.
that just it makes you feel a day. You can do that for a day or so, but when it flips to the whole weekend, and and I'm not saying was depressed or feeling down. I just
What were
didn't
you
feel.
feeling? Because we're just
I
talking
was
about how you're
feeling.
feeling.
I was feeling productive and light when I got a few things done around here in my pajamas that I
Huh?
really needed to get done.
Yeah.
And they're minor things, but they're minor things too. But the minor things sometimes are the things that bug you and bug at you longer. I got a lot of things done that I need to do, and and so that was good. I had one day where I just kind of watched movies and I cooked some. I made some soup, something that I could have to eat for the weekend. And that was productive. I like to be productive. So,
Good.
um, and I forget and I grant myself days when I choose to stay.
Good job.
in
Oh,
my
I love
pajamas.
that.
But it can't become a way of life, because just like this morning when I texted you and said, I got the bug man coming in, by the way, he hasn't shown yet. Um, but I thought, well, I need to get dressed to look decent for the bug man. And then I thought, no, I'm going to get dressed to look decent for this Zoom with you. And my whole attitude changed. I mean, he's still coming, and it's not a big deal. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It's just when with a long weekend, it just drug out.
Okay, you and I have talked about this before too. I love what you
Yes.
said. You got dressed for the Zoom, but so many times this is a conditioned response. You didn't do it for you. You named me, or not me, but Zoom
The Zoom, yeah.
particularly.
But that cast a whole light on the whole rest of my day.
Well, but we talked about this too. This is
Oh,
on my desk for a reason. Yeah,
oh
and you
my
look
gosh.
great. I needed
Yes.
lipstick. Mine's too neutral.
Oh yeah.
It helps when we have some color on our lips.
I know.
My conditioning comes from my great grandma, whose picture is right over there. And there is something about feeling really pretty
Uh-huh.
or put together. I'm telling you from me, that's my conditioning.
Oh,
When
me too.
I feel put together, I feel a little like I stand up straighter.
Uh-huh.
Hey, it's not always. I stood up straight yesterday, but I didn't put much clothes on because I didn't do anything on purpose. But I
Uh-huh.
like what you say about that too. Sometimes that gets to be a permission slip because
Yeah.
I'm a generator too. It's like back to human design. I love to
Yeah.
go, go, go. So are you. You're a generator.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
am.
we do have a lot of activity. Like I don't sit for very long. My husband called me a princess last night because we were watching a movie, and I'm like, I can't get in. I can't watch this. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, we watch something else. He's like, is this better, princess? I'm like, yeah, I can get into this. I'm not going to sit through a whole movie that I
Uh-huh.
feel is. I'm sorry, I was a little judgy, but it was stupid to me.
Yeah. Well, you
We
have
have
to.
a different sense of humor sometimes, but this one was, and it's not even about that. It's just I didn't like it, and I'm not really going to sit. I'm like, think through my head. Well, I can
Well,
just
no,
go grab a
I
book.
would be think that's wasting my time. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit through a movie and love it, that's one thing. But
Well,
yeah.
that was where I landed. And to sum up, that really is that's where I landed is why am I feeling like, because I was sitting there playing that over in my head, going, why do I want to leave? Why can't I just open up a book? And he can do that. But ultimately, I could, but it would still bring up a conversation with him. Ultimately, I found that I find when I know that I'm like not doing something productive and I wish I could be, like I don't want to lose the time I have.
Hmm.
Everything is precious to me when you've had life changing things happen to you.
Right.
And I was
Right.
almost, yeah, I was
Yeah.
called out on the mat. I was like close to Jesus moment. Um, Life matters to me. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait. I don't want to waste it. I love sitting with him. Can we watch something else? I'll sit with you still, but I don't want to watch this. To me, it
Well,
wasn't
and
lunch anymore.
what you said to me this morning, this, I told her I didn't want to mess. I told you I didn't want to mess up your Zoom call this morning because I didn't know if I'd be in and out. And you said there's no right or wrong. And you know what? That's right. And there's no right or wrong that you don't for what's right for Mick is maybe not right for you. And when you're married, you make those kind of modifications for each other. But his way is not the right way. And because your way is not his way, doesn't mean your way is the wrong way. You
Yeah,
have to do what's right for you and make modifications for the people you love. And that's it. But you don't have to make modifications all the time. That's a two-way street. They modify for you as well.
I
So
know. That's why when you've lived together almost 40 years, it's also we predict what the other one's going to say, which is
absolutely.
an interesting statement. I'll add, he's brought this up to me. When you predict what somebody else is going to do, is that really fair to them? No, because that's not giving them the autonomy of who they are, the agency to do something new. They
Hmm.
might be working on themselves too, and to predict and act the way they might be because they've done it in the past, because that's wiring those thoughts from the past again.
Yeah,
Let them be new. I'm going to
that's
read
a
a
good
book
point.
right here with you, or can we change the station? It's just let go of the attachment to the outcome. And that
Yeah.
attachment could be that we see people old. We're asking to see myself new, you new. I love to see my husband new, and likewise, I ask that he sees me new, which is that's almost a whole nother topic.
It was a good one.
Another
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So if I can land in this and say thank you so much for being in here, Pam. Thanks for jumping in. We do like to
Um,
keep these relatively at about a half an hour every
well, yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah. I got in here late. So it's like, yep, it has been
I would
happening.
love to hear if any frequently asked questions. What kind of questions do you have around the pillars? I would like to make this a couple interactions. Maybe Pam, anything comes up, if you or I can get in the group this week and talk about this.
Hmm.
Let's be in the activity of curiosity this week about these pillars. What would be a good question that you would like to have answered? And you can ask the coach anything this week. So that's it. You're not
Yeah.
starting over, you're starting from the truth. You're starting today from a whole new you. See
Well,
yourself new
it,
and
I think
unprocess your life. Yes,
posting something, you know, social media is so much a snapshot of life that everybody's life looks like. It's just wonderful. And the same thing is, some days I do all this stuff, naturally. I don't want it to be a burden, but I naturally do gratitude in the morning. I naturally
I know.
change my focus, but some days I don't. And some days things are dragging, are, are weighing on me, and I have to refocus. And I think it's good to let everybody know that don't get on there and say, yeah, I did this and I did this. And get on there and say, I'm struggling with this.
Yeah,
Because I think it's just as well that we all know we all struggle. I love it when we're all on here and we're talking. And like Jen, is it
yes.
Jen? Yes, I love her. She can be so candid, and I know where she is in her life with little children and a job, and oh my gosh, and I understand. And it's so great that we can show our vulnerabilities as well. It makes me think, oh, I'm not doing so bad either. I have vulnerabilities too, and I think that's really reinforcing. We need to share all this
I
stuff on
love
there.
that. I love this. This is totally exactly, this is community.
Yeah,
We're jumping in here because, again, we're not starting over. We're starting from a place of compassion, of love, and seeing each other in community.
right.
I fully believe that is what this year is still about, of getting together with others because we are all regulating our nervous system to our own vibe, because especially in 2027 they're talking about that being the year of really understanding yourself. This is one of the things that I'm very adamant about, understanding ourselves this year.
Mhm.
We can do it safely in community.
Yep.
Hallelujah. And I love that you said that, because that is one
Yeah.
of my focuses too, is about this community, keeping this community going and finding out how to help. What kind of content really means something to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And these community talks is exactly that. We could go on longer too. I mean, this can be played with. It's molded.
Yeah.
I don't want to say moldy because it doesn't stink.
You know.
It's moldable, just as our brain is. It's
Yeah.
moldable. We can see it change for the rest of this year. What does the trajectory of the rest of 2026 look like for unprocessing your life? The Facebook community.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I think we're more willing, and I know this is for me as well, to jump on when I got something good to report, or to jump on when I made something delicious and I want to show it, or when I had a successful week for something. But we need to jump on. If this is our safe place, we really need to be able to jump on and say, I'm really struggling with this week, because somebody else is going to read it and go, man, I do too. And then a conversation generates where you wouldn't naturally jump in and just say, you know,
oh yeah, so many of us, and I know other people in here want to support you and me.
yeah,
Are very supportive here. So that's a good point to the first answer of the question. This is a nice place. There are supportive people here. So if you
yes,
do have a question you don't know, this is a safe place to support that. Nobody's going to screenshot it and put it out and go, oh my gosh, look at this person. That's
yeah,
not the case.
right,
Luckily, here, it is a safe place to say, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Um,
yeah,
I struggled this week. My stomach has been acting up. I had a beautiful night out with Mick. We went out, and I won't name the restaurant unless you saw it on my stories.
oh,
But
I
he
did.
had a wonderful he had a wonderful meal, And I tried the shrimp and grits because I know Stephanie's fiance, Tim, makes the best shrimp and grits. And I love shrimp and grits. This was, it was good going down. It was too rich. And I
Yeah.
paid for it. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
was delicious, but it set the tone for a very bad stomach weekend. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
not very good at all. But because of that, I know I'll go back because it's supposed to be a great restaurant.
Yeah.
It was. I like the atmosphere. The service was great, and I'll
Yeah.
just go back for something else. I know I don't do well with a lot of cream and butter, and that I didn't even taste the grits. It tasted like cream and butter. So
Hmm. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Good going down, but you know you're going to pay for this. Yes.
right. And Mick absolutely loved his stew. It was amazing there. But yeah, just I don't know how I got on that topic, but oh, I could have shared that I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't feel good, it's an overgrowth of some information for ourselves. Everything we
Uh-huh.
need is information for ourselves. And I started to notice I was going for some good food the next day, and then I veered off because it's a holiday, and I was pretty good. But then I
Yeah.
got these chocolate chip cookies, and I had five. Luckily, they're about that big.
Uh-huh.
My belly was hurting again. I'm like, this is the second time in like 3 days. What am I doing? And so
Yeah.
it was just information for me. And I was thinking I could get on, but thank you for saying that. I could have
Yeah.
gone on and said, make a post about like, why am I punishing myself? I don't know.
Yeah. I think a discussion would have popped up because we all do that. We
Sure.
all do that. Even if we have the tools and the knowledge to
Yes.
deal with things and get past it, it's nice to know. I think think, well, Gracie would never do this, or yeah, well, I
That's
know
what I
you well enough
hear,
to
which
know
is
that you're you,
crazy. I'm not a
but
perfect.
but
I'm a
I know that
human.
you're a human being too. I know you're full of knowledge and knowing how to deal with it, but you're still a human being. And you know
I'm
what?
human.
That's nice to know. It's nice to know that someone else is suffering or dealing with, not suffering,
So,
but that's a little dramatic, but it is
right.
dealing with it. Yeah,
We're all human.
and it's okay. It doesn't. It's just like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You always say that old thing. The thing is, one little change, and it was a learning experience, and you learned again. And sometimes we have to learn over. I have to learn about cookies a couple times a month, even though I know that's not good for me. It sets me on a whole direction I don't want to go in, and it takes me 2 or 3 days to get myself back dealing with it because I feel so crummy. And that's just what? It just there you go again. You do it and you just have to bring it back. But if we have the tools, we know how to do that. And I'm
Right.
not just talking about it, the food, but I'm talking about other things besides food. But that's something I deal with. And why did I order from Tiff's Treats again? Stop it. You don't just dropped your membership, so now I'm paying more for pain. So it's like,
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, even that would be a good thread. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I agree. What
yeah. So
what kind of subscriptions do we subscribe to that we need? And it could be a metaphoric subscription, just like
yeah, exactly.
you know, what are
Yeah,
we bringing to the table that we don't want to really digest?
yeah, yeah.
It could be a good thread. Let's
Well,
see.
thanks for being patient with me. You got on 10 minutes late, so I gave you 10 minutes longer because I still had things to say. You're very
Hey,
patient. I'll
I loved
let you
it.
close it.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, always.
You're
And
welcome.
now we have a good thread. We're going to see how these two threads work. Get on one of the threads if you watch this replay, and hit subscribe if you're already in our YouTube, so that I'm going to be doing some more videos, and it's going to be something you're going to watch if you like this one. So
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
so much. And thank you,
Okay.
Pam. Have a great sunny day.
You
I'll see
too.
you next Tuesday. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Bye.